Let's hope we can finish on this one. 5+ hours. I never said it would be easy to add weapons to a game. Fully realistic and replicated. Last episode we got muzzle flash, reloading, ammo, force feedback, camera shake setup, all that sort of stuff. So with that said, open your project and remember, create your way. So let's open up our BP weapon base again, and we were going to do our attach to owner holster function to finish our on holster finished function. So let's go ahead and set that function up. So due to the 410 bug, I'm just going to bring this compiler result down, and I'm going to bring our component list up here just so we have a little more room to work. So yeah, let's delete this. Let's add a new function called attach to owner holster. This is going to be under we'll go something like pawn events. I think that'll work just fine. And this has no inputs or outputs, it just goes into a branch. That condition is going to be, is the current state equal to equipping? So that's our condition, and if false, we want to set ragdoll. We want the weapon to ragdoll. Or sorry, we don't want it to ragdoll, hence be enabled is going to be false. And then we want to detach from, we'll need another function called detach, if I can spell it, from owner. And so this is essentially the same as detach from parent. It just gives us a little more functionality. It's almost like overriding the detach from parent functionality that's stock in blueprints. So this one's going to be under pawn events as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a detach from parent third person mesh. And that's fine just like that. We're also going to do the same for first person mesh. And after that, we are going to create a new variable, because I don't believe we have it, called boolean called b use attach parent bound. Actually, sorry, that's a default variable. I should know that. I was using it the other day. So we want to take our third person mesh, and we want to set b use attach parent bound. That's a default value, as you can see, and we want to set it to false. We don't want to use the attach parents bounds. Alright, so that's that one. So we can compile and save that. Whoa. Compile and save that, and then we can go back to attach to owner holster, and we can call that function. So detach from, if I can spell that today, detach, how come it's not in there? Compiled. Detach from owner. We'll just pull it in manually then if it wants to be a pain in the butt. Alright. And then we're going to do an is valid on owning pawn. Is valid. Let's turn context sensitive back on. We're using the impure version. We're also going to want the owning pawn's mesh. So let's get mesh. If you constructed your pawn the same as mine. We also want to, I believe we have under, nope, where would it be? Should just be under config, yeah, inventory slot type right in front of me. We're gonna want to see, let's see, we can make this function get holsters. Get holstered weapon we got, but we need another function. It's pretty easy, so let's open up our blueprints folder and our BP base character, And let's create a function called get holster socket. So this returns the socket on the mesh where weapons are holstered, or at least the current one, because we're gonna have multiple ones, and if we want to change them, we don't want to have to go and edit 6 functions just to change some slots around. So we're gonna have an input, which is gonna be the slot, and that will be E weapon inventory slot. So it'll be that enumeration, and then we'll have an output, which will be a name, and this will be the socket. The holster socket. And this is also this will be in the info category, and it's gonna be peer, since it's just returning a simple name. So what we're gonna do is I believe we don't have if we go under config and weapons, no, we don't have any of that yet, or under weapons at all. So we need to create a new variable called weapon slot map. And let's put this under config weapons, and this will be all the slots that we have for, again, holstering. So we want it to be editable. It's going to be of the type S. Did we even create that? No, we did not. Oh, so we need a character weapon slot info structure. So where are we going to put that? Might as well throw that in the weapons folder. So let's right click and make a new blueprint structure. This is going to be s underscore car web slot info. Let's open it up, and we'll have 2 variables. The first one's going to be web slot, and that will be of type E web inventory slot. And then we'll have a name for that. So a name, this will be the holster socket name. Alright, so we'll save that up, and we'll go back to our base character, and we can now make that type scar web slot info. And if we we're gonna make that an array, and then yeah, that should be it. Then we just need to compile and set that up. So we'll have at least I'm thinking probably a primary and secondary, and maybe a special for a class specific item or weapon. So I'm gonna add 3. So we'll have primary first of all, and we might as well just keep it simple. Primary holster, yeah, that's spelled right. And then we'll go secondary. Slot will be secondary holster, and special. And we could also do melee for a knife at a later slot if we want. So this will be special holster. In fact, we might as well just throw it in there. Why not? We'll go melee. This will be melee holster. We got 4 slots we're gonna use. Might as well be able to holster stuff to them. So what we're gonna want to do is bring this variable in, and we're gonna want to do a for each loop with break. So for each with break, and so that'll go into the execution. We're gonna have we'll do that later. The slot we're gonna need to reroute. So let's make a reroute and bring it in, and we'll bring it over a little more, and we're going to return at the end. Once the for each loop is completed, we're going to return, and we're going to need a local variable called L underscore socket name out, and this is going to be of type name, not an array, and it'll be blank by default, just none. Yeah, perfect. So let's just connect that up to our return node, and we're good to go there. So what we want to do is we want to take our array element in the loop, and we want to break it, And we want to see if weapon slot is equal to our slot in, like so. Let's straighten that out here. And then we're going to take our holster socket. Let's reroute that. We're going to go to a branch. This is the condition. And all we're going to do is we're going to set our local variable to the holster socket name in that structure, like so. And after that's done, then we break out of the loop. So if we're looking for the primary one, it'll return the primary name. If we're looking for the secondary, it'll go through the primary, then it'll get the secondary. So it just goes through it till it finds it, and then it breaks out of the loop. Simple logic. So this whole setup just returns a named slot for the socket where the weapon will be holstered. So let's compile and save that and go back to our BP weapon base, and now we can get holster socket like so, and we can plug inventory slot type right in. And then we're gonna take our third person mesh and we're gonna do an attach to. So that is the target. The parent is the mesh. Socket name is the socket return there. Let's see if we can't get this a little cleaner. We want to snap to target, keep world scale, and we want to weld simulated bodies. We only want to do this if it's valid, however. So let's bring that up. If it's not valid, we are gonna need, I don't think we have that variable. Nope. So we're gonna create a new variable called B needs attached update on owner rep. And that's going to be a boolean, editable, default, yeah, blah, blah, blah. It'll work just like that. This is the only time we're really ever going to use it. So we will set that if it's not valid to false. And then after that, we need to update mesh visibility, depending on third or first person. So that is our attached to owner holster function. So let's compile that out and go back to on holster finished, and now we can call that attached to owner holster. And I think that was the end of our function. Yeah, so let's comment this. So first checks if weapon is already holstered, then goes through holstering event handling. Good enough. Compile. And I guess we were in set weapon state. We were going through all these. Set this back here. Don't need the viewport open. So I guess true here would be set holster, or what do we even call it now? On holster finished. And let's give ourselves some more room here because we're gonna need it. So that was holster. Let's just double check. Holstered, yep. So the next one is for holstering. So that requires a start holster, which we don't have. So let's create it. That is gonna be a new function. So let's create a new function then. I'm gonna close this config again. I'm gonna close pawn events. So create a new function called start holster, and it has no inputs or outputs. We're gonna go into a sequence, however. Then this should also be under events. So it's gonna go into a sequence. It'll have 3 pins. So the first thing we need to do is clear any reloading actions that are happening. So we want to check if we are pending a reload, be pending reload, and that is replicate, and we're going to go into a branch with that as the condition. The very first thing we're going to do. And if we are, then we want to stop weapon animation. And the weapon animation in is the reload anim. So we want to make sure that we're not doing a reload of any type. Then we want to set be pending reload to false. Make sure that that is now set to false. Then we want to clear a timer by handle twice. So we'll do one and we'll copy and paste that, or you can do the duplicate command. We want the first handle is going to be a stop reload timer handle, and the second one is going to be reload weapon timer handle, like so. So that is the first bit. So 0 is stop / clear any reload events or actions that are currently occurring. Let's bring this out here. Let's keep things clean. Even bring it out like that. If we want, then we want to clear any equipping actions that are happening. Although you wouldn't want to be able to start a holster if you were pending an equip. So to make sure of that, we're going to go into a branch. The condition is going to be pending equip. B is pending equip. I kind of used a different naming convention on those. We're going to want to do the same thing. We're going to want to stop the weapon animation, and that animation is going to be the equip. We don't have that one, so we need to make it. So let's create a new variable called equip anim. This is going to be of type swep anim. It's going to be editable. It's going to be obviously per weapon. It's going to be under config animations, and we don't have one right now, so it's just going to be blank, but we can still plug it in there, because once we get this done and create a weapon, then I'll make some animations up. And then we'll want to clear timer by handle again, and that handle is on equip finished timer handle. So yeah, all we're doing there is I'm just gonna put it brackets, meaning same thing for equipping or something like that. Good enough. And then lastly, we want to start the actual holstering actions. So we want to set B is pending holster to true. And then we want to play weapon animation. And that weapon animation is, I don't think we have that either. No, we have to create that one as well. So let's create a new variable called holster anim. And luckily this is all set up for us. We just need to be editable and under config animations. There we go. And again, we don't have one right now, but we can set that up later. That's why it's editable. In fact, fire animations to be editable too, because we need to set that for each gun. So yeah, we'll play that weapon animation, then we'll take the animation duration, and we're gonna want to do a select float, and we're gonna want to set holster duration to the return value of this select float node. So A is the anim duration, B is the holster time if no. Okay, we had reload, we need to make one for holster as well. So how long is this gonna take if there is no animation? So holster time if no no animation. It's long, might as well make it long. So it'll be float, it'll be editable, it'll be under config timing, And let's hit F7 to compile, and we'll give it a default value the same as reloading, just over 1/10 of a second. So 0.125. So that'll be B, and the condition for B pick A is going to, actually, sorry, we want holster time if no animation. We want the max between that and 0.1, and plug that into B. And then we want to take the anim duration, and we want to check if it's greater than 0, and that's B pick A. If it's greater than 0, we'll pick the duration of the weapon animation, obviously. Otherwise, we'll pick the holster time if no animation, and then we'll set the holster duration to that. And then we want to set holster start time, and we're going to do that by subtracting a 0.05 of a second, I guess 1/5 of a second, I don't, not a 1/5, 5/100ths, a 20th of a second. So we're gonna do a minus float minus float, so we're gonna go minus 0.05, and we're gonna set holster start time to get game time in seconds, and we're going to do a set timer by function name, and this is going to be the time. It's not going to loop, and then we're going to use this return value to set on holster finished timer handle, and the function name is going to be on holster finished. Let's just make sure we have that, because I can't remember at this point. So holster on holster finished, yeah, we have that, so that's all good. Cool. So that is that entire function. So then start holstering logic. There we have it. So let's compile and save that. So that is start holster for the next one. So start holster. What's up next? So we're going down to equipping. So that will be start equip. I don't think we have that one. Let's check. Equip. No. So let's create a new function called start equip. And as you might have guessed, this is under the events category. And so what we're going to do is go into a branch, which is going to check if we are not equipped. So not Boolean, get B is equipped. So if the weapon is not equipped, then set, if true, set B is holstered to false. If it's not equipped, then it's probably not holstered either. And then we want to create a new function, because I don't think we have attached to owner holster, but not his arms. So we can holster it, but we can't bring it back up. So let's create a new function called attach to owner arms. So that's the mesh 2p in the pawn that we created. This is going to be under pawn events. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take owning pawn. We're going to do an is valid check, imp here. I guess you could call it a macro too. I really don't know what to call it. If it's not valid, we're going to set that one long variable that we needed to use only once. We're going to use it twice. Set B needs attached, update, blah, 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 on owner rep to true. If it is valid, however, we are going to set ragdoll to false, not enabled. And then we're going to detach from owner. Detach from, why does that not show up? Detach from owner. That should show right up. That's totally weird. Detach I didn't spell it wrong, did I? Detach. Yeah, it's so weird that it doesn't show up. Detach. Oh, it does show up. I'm just... Oh, detach. Detach? What is it? Now that's really bugging me. Detach. Oh, it's detach. Okay, so I did spell that wrong. Let's rename that, otherwise it's gonna get me. Detach from owner. I've been spelling that wrong my entire life. Crazy. And then we're gonna want to do and attach to. So it's a very similar. It's just gonna be two different. The target's gonna be our third-person mesh instead. So let's throw that up there. Bring it over here. Yada yada yada. The parent in is gonna be the mesh of the owning pawn. So we're going to get mesh. The socket name is going to be, we're going to need to create this. So let's go to our player character. And assuming our character is right-handed, let's create a new variable called right-hand socket. So this is where our character, our base character, is going to hold his weapons, items, whatever. So this is going to be under config visuals, and then let's compile F7 and let's give it an obvious name like hand R or right hand, and let's compile. And then we can go back and we can get right hand socket. So again, if we change the name of it or whatever, we don't want to have to go and change it all in here, you know. Instead we pull it right out. So it's just part of the process. So do the work now, save the hassle later. Keep world scale, snap to target, weld simulated bodies. We're also going to want to get the arm mesh, so that's get mesh 2p. Yeah, then we're going to want to get the first person mesh from this class. And we're going to want to do another attach to. So this one is, well, it's a first person mesh attached to. So let's do attach to. And the parent is going to be zoning out the mesh 2p. The in socket name is going to be the same one, the right hand socket. And we're going to do the exact same thing, snap to target, keep world scale, weld simulated bodies, and then we're going to want to set relative transform of the first person mesh. Oh, not reset. Gosh darn it. I want to set relative transform right there. Not rotation, god damn it. Set relative transform. Always the bottom one. So the new transform is going to be, we're going to make an attach offset for our arm. So let's create a new variable called first person arm attach offset. So this is the offset for any attached item from the arm's location. So this is type transform. It's going to be editable because every single arm and weapon is going to be different. Config animations, it's a category. And let's hit F7. And let's also to compile, and let's throw it into there. And just some values that tend to work is around 5 on the Z for rotation, 5 degrees, and the rest should be good. But we can change that at will if we need, and it'll make our job much easier of getting things to line up. And then we want to update mesh visibility. So basically what we're doing there is we're either changing a mesh in some way, or we're changing from first to third person when we call that. Alright, so that's done, I think. Yeah. Alright, cool. So let's compile that. So that was part of start equip. So we set B as holster to false, then we attach to owner arms, and then we play weapon animation, and that one is the equip animation. Now that we have it, well, we have the variable at least pointing somewhere. And then we need to do the same thing as before. We need to set equip duration, and we don't have that. So let's create it. So a new variable called equip duration. Duration, if I can spell one of these days. It'll be a float. It'll be transient. We want it to be 0 filled it load, and it'll be 0 by default, so we don't need to compile. So we want to set that, and we want to set it based on anim duration, select float, return value. That's A. B is going to be equip. Let's see, we don't have that one either. So how long is it going to take to equip if there's no equip animation? We're going to need that as well. So make a new variable of type float, which is equip duration if no animation. Same as the other ones. This one's going to be editable. It's going to be under config timing. And we're going to hit F7 to compile, and we're going to make it 0.125. So we will throw that in, and then we'll do a float max between that and 0.1. That'll go into B, and to choose between that, we check if anim duration is greater than 0. If the animation actually exists, basically. So we do all that. We set equip duration. We set equip start time. We don't have that either. So let's create a new variable. I'm going to close all these off now. Well, they're probably going to pop open again. But equip start time. And that'll be 0, but we need it to be transient. And yeah, that'll be totally fine. We'll leave it just like that. So we'll set it. Equip start time to game time in seconds. So get game seconds. And then we want to take the equip duration minus 0.05 again. And we want to set timer by function. Set timer by function name. So that is our time. We're not looping. And the function name is on equip finished. And I want to make sure we finished that. That should be under events. On start equip on. Looks like we don't have it equipped. No, so I'm going to make sure that we finish that so that again we don't have lost ones accidentally. But before we do that, we're just going to take the return value and set on equip finished timer handle. So let's take on equip finished and let's complete that so that we don't have this doing nothing accidentally. So let's create a new function called on equip finished. This is going to be under events. It's not too bad of a function, but it's not the shortest one ever either. So we're going to go into a branch. I feel like this is pretty wide. So is this. No screen space. For Christmas, all I want is a 4K monitor. So we go into an AND boolean. And both of these, we need 3 pins actually. The top 2 go to not bools though. Like so. And then we'll add a pin. And the bottom one goes to B is equipped. and not B is pending equip, and not B is holstered. Like so. So that's our condition. Basically, if we're already equipping, that would bring all this to be true. Then we don't want to do anything. If false, though, then we want to make sure that we are equipping this item. So attach to owner arms. That should already happen from on equip start, but we want to make sure that item, gun, whatever is there for sure. And then we're gonna set B is pending throw to false. And then we're gonna want to set B is holstered to false. And then we're gonna want to set B is equipped. These are all down here, isn't it? B is pending equip. Set that to false. B is equipped to true. In that order. Then we're going to want to take our owning pawn and a reference to self. And we're going to want to, I don't think we have this on weapon equip finished. No. So we're going to go to our character. Let's just compile and save while we're here. And then let's go to our character and make that function. It's pretty easy. Although it has a function in it. So let's go to our base character, create a function called on weapon equip finished. Perfect. So this one has an input, which is going to be equipped wep, and that is going to be alpha type BP base, not base, what do we call that, weapon base? Yeah, BP weapon base reference. So first of all, we're going to want to do an is valid on that, and we're also going to want to reroute it for future use. I'm going to line up the pins. So if it is valid, we want to clear weapons from holsters. And this is the weapon. We're going to want to reroute it again, because then we're going to want to set with notify equipped, set wep equipped right there. I'm going to change the name of that to equipped weapon. Just makes more sense to me. Alright, yeah, that's it. So we can compile that and go back to our base weapon. Once it finishes its 4-second compile or whatever. So we want to take our owning pawn and do on weapon equip finished. Equipped weapon is self. Plug this in, and then we want to determine the weapon state after this. So determine weapon state, and then we want to go into a 6 and sequence. And number 1 is get current ammo in magazine and make sure it is less than or equal to 0. That's number 1. Number 2, can we reload? Number 3, is owning pawn even valid? We've gone through this one a few times. Is he valid, and is he locally controlled? That's 3 and 4. We also want to get casted controller and make sure he's valid. So get casted controller, our helper function, and the controller out, we'll make sure is valid. That's number 5. And number 6 is from controller out, B auto reload on. No, we need to create another variable. So let's go to our base character, or no, that's, yeah, our base character, and let's create a new variable. Or no, sorry, I was right. That it's on the player controller. I'm thinking backwards. The function to get this is on the base character. So open up your your player controller, and we need a new variable called B auto reload on empty equip. And that's be a boolean, and let's just hit F7 to compile because we want it to be true by default. Otherwise, it'll be fine just the way it is. You can see this is taking 7 seconds to compile because everything's so interconnected. It relies on so many functions from so many different classes. Everything's tied together properly like it should be, like a programming language. So I want to go here and get equip reload there, that one. And that is 6. So that is our big 6 and sequence. And what do we do with this? If true, we just start reload. Like so. So basically what we're doing here is checking if the weapon is empty, locally controlled with auto reload empty equipped weapons enabled. If so, start reload. So when you first equip, it does a reload if all that is true. So let's hit compile. That one's finished. And now we can safely know that this is going to function perfectly fine. So we can close start equip and move on to the next one after we put this in here. Start equip. Alright, so what's the next one in line? We're almost at the bottom. So we're looking at this branch, which goes down here. Looks like throwing, so this will be drop weapon. So that'll be a start throw. I think we have that one. Start throw. No, we don't. On throw finished we have, of course. So let's create a new function. I'm gonna close all these categories. I need a new function. Start throw. I can tell from my reference list we almost have all our events done, so that's good. This one goes under events, and all we do here is we play a weapon animation. And I don't think we have this one. Throw, no. So we need a new variable. Let's close events here. New variable called throw anim of type s underscore wep anim. It's editable and its category is config animations, and I don't have an animation so I don't need to set it right now, but we're gonna plug it in. He plugs it in. And so then we want to do the same as the other one. So we want to set throw duration. And we want to set throw start time. Set throws. Ooh, we don't have that variable either. So let's create a new variable called throw start time. This is a float that is transient marked, and let's give it a default value of 0. I don't know why I compiled when I didn't need to set it. Oh good, it didn't compile. Alright, so we want to set that to get game seconds. we want to take throw duration and subtract 0.05, and then we're going to want to, well, let's do this first. We're going to want to do a select float and take the return value and plug it into throw duration. And same as before, we need to get throw duration if no animation, which we don't have. So let's create it. New variable called throw duration if no animation. And that'll be a float, editable, config timing. And let's hit F7 to compile and do the same as the other ones. How long to drop a weapon? 0.125 of a second. Let's bring that variable out and do a max float on it between that and 0.1. So that'll be B, and B pick A is going to be if anim duration is greater than 0. If it exists. Alrighty. So then we can move on and we can do a set timer by function name. And I know we have this one. It's under events. It's on throw finished. Start throw. On throw finished. Yep. We've got it. So I'm going to copy that and paste it right in there to make sure we don't get an error. Time goes in there, doesn't loop, and take the return value and set on throw finish timer handle. Alright, so let's start throw. So we can compile and close that. So this is start throw. What's the next one? It's looking like on throw finished. Dropped, yep. So if that goes here, yep. So that'll be on throw finished. We don't need to do anything. Haha. On throw finished. And what's this last one here? It is dropped. Wait, dropped. Yeah. So the first one we do on throw finish. The second one on untrue we set lifespan. So this is how you set items lifespan. So we're setting it to infinity here. Then we're gonna call on weapon picked up. Call that event that we created all the way down here, that event dispatcher. So once this item is picked up, well, that's what's happening there basically. So then we set current state, and then we go into this last branch for firing. And if true, we go on weapon fire started. We don't have that. So we just need to create one more function, and it's not a hard one, and this one is done. So create a function called on weapon fire started. Alrighty. It's in the events category. It's got no input and output. So we go into a branch, and that branch goes into an and boolean, and we check. I don't think we have any of these variables. Nope. Let's create a new variable called last fire time. So when was the last bullet fired? This is used for replicating full auto firing. That's the only reason this variable is here. But we're gonna have lots of automatic weapons so we can mow some noobs down. So it needs to be transient, and it'll have a value of 0. So we take last fire time and we check if it's greater than 0. And we also want to take it plus I don't think we have this one either. Shots. Oh yeah, get time between shots. And we want to make sure that one is greater than 0 also. Like so. So we're going to have 3 pins here. So let's add a pin to our and boolean. And we want to check we want to do a get game seconds, get game time in seconds, and we want to take this plus return value and make sure it's greater than get game time in seconds. And so that's our 3 conditions. And while we're here, we also want to check if this return value minus game time in seconds, well, it's going to go into our true condition, which is our true logic, which is set timer by function name. I know that we already have this one done. That is handle firing. The time is here. So just like that, in the return value, you're going to set handle firing timer handle. Kind of a funny name. If false, then we just call handle firing. Let's move this over a little bit. And that's that. Yeah. So, let's comment this. Ensure any replicated weapons fire starts, or weapon fire, any replicated weapon fire starts conform to a weapon's fire rate. It's basically a safety check in case a weapon's fire requests over the network gets stacked up due to latency. Alright, so let's compile and go back. And so if true, we go on weapon fire started. So that function, oops, that function is finished, I believe. Yeah. We have the debug, we have all this. Yeah, I'm pretty certain that's good to go. But we have debugging if not. So let's compile and save so we don't lose any of that. And I just want to check one thing. On holster finished. Set holstered weapon, drop existing. Yeah, we got that already. So, we might as well work on our weapon state graph then. I think we got all the functions. I'm sure a couple will pop up, but we might as well get done. Yeah, we're gonna have a few to do. So let's start way up at the top with the basics. So we're gonna have an event tick, and that is gonna call a simple function. Let's create a function called update ADS. So this is state is the category, and so we're gonna need some variables. We're gonna need I want to close all these down. The whole functions and macros and interfaces can go. So create a variable called ADS position. It'll be a float. It'll be transient. It'll be 0, so that's fine, just like that. Let's duplicate that and call time to ADS. This one will be editable. It'll go under config timing. It won't be transient, and it'll be slightly more than the other ones. So let's hit F7 and let's go 0.2 or so. We're also gonna need a new boolean. Let's close these off. New variable called b wants to ADS. That'll be a boolean, like I said, and this one's gonna be replicated. Whoops. So a Boolean, it's going to be transient, it's going to be replicated, and it'll be false by default. We're going to need a function for this too called canAds. So let's create a quick function called canAds. So all this does, and it returns b canAds, and it's under the state category. And this should be peer as well. So what we do here is we take the current state and we do an and Boolean, and we check if current state is equal enum to idle, firing, or wound up fully. Firing, or a wound up fully. So we go and the bottom one is going to be a float greater than, and we want to check if time to ADS, where are you? Okay, we'll just get time to ADS is greater than 0, and this will be an or, so one or the other. If either of them are true, we need to add a pin here. There used to be a way to do that by dragging on there, I forget how. So that's our function. So let's compile and go back and save so you don't lose any work. So update ADS. So update ADS needs an input, which is going to be a float, which is going to be delta time, which is going to come from the tick function. We're going to take that, we're going to multiply float by float. Let's add a pin. I'm going to multiply that by a select float, by a division float by float. We're going to divide 1 by, let's do a float max. Between 0.1 and get time to ADS, and this select float is between 1 and -1, so it depends if that value is positive or negative, and bpic is an and Boolean, and we first make sure we can ADS and we get b wants to ADS. So we take that and then we do a float plus. This one should be on the bottom. And what are we adding? We're adding ADS position. And then we're clamping the final value. Clamp float between 0 and 1. And then we are taking that return value and setting ADS position. And that is our function. So we're doing that every frame. So let's compile. So every frame we are update ADS and plug in delta time like so, and there we have it. That's our event tick function. And well, we might as well comment this. So event tick update ADS. Then above it we'll have event destroyed. So when our gun is destroyed, if it is, we want to make sure it's not going to fire one more time, so we stop simulating weapon fire. So any particle sim system stop, etc. So we'll go event destroyed stop simulating weapon fire. I'm probably not going to comment all of these, just the big ones here. So then we have event begin play. I could have just held down P for that one, I guess. I always forget some of those. So what we do here is we set ragdoll when the weapon is first spawned. Set ragdoll, and we set that based on an AND boolean. And what are we checking with our AND boolean? We're checking, I don't think we have this, brag, nope. So we're gonna need a new variable, and this is a very important one. Ragdoll on spawn if dropped. Important because we're gonna expose on spawn. So when we spawn a weapon, we can tell if it's gonna work. We can tell the weapon if it's gonna need to ragdoll or not. So by default, we want that to be yes. So let's throw that onto the top. And we also check if current state is equal to dropped. So equal enum to dropped. So if either of those are true, then we set ragdoll enabled. And that is event begin play. Event begin play, set ragdoll. Alright, so that's our primary events. Let's put them in a yellow thing. Why not? Maybe orange. Good enough. Now I did create multiple things. Since these are stock events, I'm actually going to cut them and put them in the event graph. And I'm going to just line them up here. With the lines, I'm going to take these ones, I'm going to put them on the weapon state graph. So this is all the custom things that we've been doing. And so then I'm just going to start from the top of my picture list of all the events. So we have on weapon fire finished right here. So that starts at the very top. So I'm going to move these out of the way. So we already finished that one. It ends with B refiring, and then we have fire underneath that. Yep. I'm gonna move these out of the way as well. So then we have event set focused, and we have to make sure that under class settings that we have implemented BPI pickupable things. So on event set focused, event set item focused, that is. We want to take the interacting pawn and check if it is locally controlled. And we want to do an AND boolean off of that. And the second one is going to be B is focused. I'm going to put that one underneath like so. And what we do then is we set render custom set render custom depth on our third person mesh. Yep. And we set that to that return value. So that allows us to do an outline. We'll set that all up later, but I'm sure you guys have seen that 100 times. That's a very, very common feature to outline objects for pickup. So update pickupable weapon custom depth rendering for outlines with post-process outlines. Post-process FX. And then we move on to all the server client replication for this gun. And this will actually go really quick. We're pretty much almost done, guys. So first we have server start fire and then server stop fire. So I'm gonna bring this one over here. Actually, I'll do it on this side. Why not? So I'll just drag this down here. Server stop fire. So the inverse of that, obviously, we're gonna have server start fire. It's gonna execute on server. It's gonna be reliable, of course. And what is it gonna do? It's going to start fires. We don't have that function though. I said there'd be a few missing, so we need start fire. That's under state. And this one's pretty easy. Or no, not under state, that's under events. My bad. So we do a switch off since we're doing replication now, or peer replication. Switch off. Remote calls server start fire and then goes into a branch. And the authority, so if you are the server, if you have authority, you go straight into the branch. The branch's condition is B wants to fire. So does the gun want to fire? Is the player holding the trigger or whatever for this type of weapon? If false, set B wants to fire to true. And then determine weapon state. And that's it. Yeah, so compile. And we can close that once it's done. There we go. So where were we? We were on the weapon state graph. So we start fire. And then we're gonna have, may as well copy these here and paste them. It doesn't, I forgot that it doesn't copy the replication. Run on server, reliable. Run on server, reliable, server stop ADS. Server start ADS. And I don't think we have these functions either. Start. Nope. So let's create those functions. So start ADS. And this is under events. And we do again a switch off. Most of these functions that I missed should be pretty short since they just have to deal with replication. Do a server start ADS if we are the client, and then we set, I don't think we have this, set B wants to, oh yeah, to ADS, and that's replicated. We set it to true, and if we're the server, we set it to true. So compile and close. Maybe I'm gonna wait between compiles. 410 really hasn't crashed. They really did do a lot of bug fixes other than the one big one that really bugs me, but I have not had any crashes otherwise. So yeah, start ADS. I don't think we have stop. Nope, so we'll create it. Where's start? Let's just duplicate it. Stop ADS. And let's call it right there. So to stop it, we instead of that we just call server stop ADS, and then we simply set it to false. That's why I duplicated it, and this just goes into there. So compile. Oh yeah, I was gonna wait between compiles. My memory. So we'll close that and we will continue on. So Now we're gonna do server handling firing. We already did that, perfect. Client start reload, so server handle firing is gonna be next in the list. So that one's done, and then we're gonna have server start reload. We did client start reload, so I think we're gonna need that soon, but we're gonna do server start reload. So let's create a new custom event called server start reload. We're gonna need the inverse server stop reload. I wish you could set the options of multiple custom events. That'd be nice. Executes on server reliable for both of them. So when we start reload, all we do is we call start reload. On stop reload, all we call is stop reload. Perfect. You can probably even bring that up, and you can bring that up to keep it in line there. Cool. So then we have client start reload, which we already did. So we'll throw that in there. Might as well bring it down here. So that one's good. And then we're gonna have server start throw a weapon. So this one's gonna have to move down. So let's just copy this. Actually, because it needs that boolean too. So server start throw weapon. Or client start needs it, the server doesn't. So that one can go down. Do we already do that? No. Server start throw weapon. Executes on server. Whoops. Executes on server is reliable. This one's multicast and is reliable. So server starts throw weapon simply just calls on throw, which it looks like we don't have. So let's create this function. On throw. It's under events, and it has an input called B is replicated boolean. B is replicated. So we go into a switch has auth, switch auth, and we're also going to go into a branch which takes this condition, and the client goes into that branch. The authority, however, calls client start throw weapon. So basically the server tells the client he can start throwing a weapon. Skip owner true. In our branch, false, we call server start throw weapon. And after all of these, we set B is pending throw to true off of all these. And then we determine weapon state. So could you imagine if we hadn't functionized determining and setting weapon state? So we can go back. Now that that's done, so yeah, server start throw weapon, all that does is calls on throw and set B is replicated to true. Client start throw weapon is a little bit more complicated. We do a switch auth. Oops. B skip owner, we're gonna reroute and we're gonna bring it into an AND boolean. And we're also gonna bring in our owning pawn. And we're gonna do an is valid check on client. And we're also gonna check if he's locally controlled. Since this is client start throw weapon. And if he's valid, we go into a branch which takes that condition to skip owner and is locally controlled. And then we call on throw. If false. On throw. And B is replicated, simply comes from here. Before the and though, so like that. Awesome. Next we want update material. I need to bring this down even further. Notify all clients of weapon drop. That one, that's the last one, although I notify all clients of drop, not of weapon drop, is how it should be. So yeah, we have one more to make and we are done. So let's bring this one down here. And then we are gonna add a custom event. Oh, come on, add custom event called update material. We need a variable called override material. This is going to be editable. It's going to be of type material reference. It's going to be under config appearance, and it won't have anything set by default. It's only if we're overriding the mesh. So first of all, we check if it's valid, impure, and if it is, then we set the material. And I want to do it non-context sensitive because you can plug multiple things in. So the element index is 0. The material is the override material. And the target is both the third person. Not a lot of people know this, that you can plug multiple ones in. And the first person mesh. Like so. You know what? Let's just bring this one down. One more. There we go. There we have it. That just needs to be, actually no, that doesn't need to be replicated. This one is multicast and reliable. Yep. So this is handles all server/client replication for weapon stuff. Sure, why not? I'm gonna bring it up to be in line with this stuff. I'm actually not even sure why these are here on, oh right, they're part of that. Fires, oh yeah, these are all custom events, right? Event set, item focused. Yeah, that's the only, that's everything. That is the entire setup. So let's compile and save, and I think we finally have a base weapon. We have one error to fix up here. Let's see what it is. Notify all clients of, oh yeah, because I changed that name. So notify all clients of drop. All client of drop. I'm really getting good with that. Perfect. Compile and save. And I think we have a weapon base. Perfect. That makes me happy that I think we're finally done with that. So, I want to use it as soon as possible, but we're going to need something to shoot. I want to change that weapons. We're going to need something to shoot. We're going to need an ammo pickup. We're going to need effects. We're going to need a mesh. We're gonna need like bullet decals. We're probably gonna need some work on the character, but at the core we have our own custom replicated weapons. So you guys tell me, do you want to see do you want to get some weapon stuff going? Do you want to get where we can make some custom weapons that can you know, it's not just a single shot where we're shooting a single ball from the first person setup? Do you guys want to set up some custom weapons, or do you want to work on setting up all the menus so that we can make this game playable again now that we have a character, weapons, and vehicles? You could set up a little map or something. So you guys tell me what you would like. I'm gonna create one more blueprint class just for next time. We have type actor. It's gonna be BP projectile base. So that's gonna be what our guns shoot as a base. So this is where we choose things like how much damage it causes and the radius of damage. So like if things are explosive and its name and so on. And it's very quick. We could even do it in like 5 minutes here, but I'll save it for next time. We'll do that, then we'll basically, we'll have our weapon done. So yeah, you guys let me know what you want to do next. Otherwise I'm just gonna kind of go on with the weapons, and I'll get a mesh in here and we'll get some weapons firing. And then we'll get some weapons that we can attach to vehicles and such, and we'll make some tanks and stuff. I wanted to do tanks too, that would be a cool one. So yeah, you guys tell me what you want to do next. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it off there. So thanks for watching. If you learned something, please like the video, subscribe. We also take donations at paypal.me/BlenderTek. If you dislike this video, please tell us why. So we'll see you next time. Remember, create your way.